Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for February 7th. February 7th is the 38th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 327 days remaining until the end of the year, except for leap years, when there's 328 days remaining to the end of the year. For these last few days, we've been looking at words that have come into the English lexicon with a built-in definite article. Even so, this article becomes part of the word, so we still add our own definite article when using the word. Today's word is amalgam. Amalgam is a noun that means a mixture of diverse elements. If, for example, your school puts together a drug prevention task force of police, doctors, teachers, social workers, and students, that task force is an amalgam of local resources. Amalgam is a combination of two or more unlike things into one, or an alloy of mercury and another metal, usually silver, used by dentists to fill cavities in teeth. Except for iron and platinum, all metals dissolve in mercury, and chemists refer to the resulting mercury mixtures as amalgams. Now, that's what my source material says. I personally have not done any further research to verify that. The word amalgam comes to us by way of French and Latin from Arabic, amalgam, which means the ointment, and before that from Greek, malagma, which means softening agent. I'd like to take a moment to remind you that links to my research are included in the show notes, and ask you to go ahead and click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, feel free to share this video with others through your email, messages, or social media. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1775, when Benjamin Franklin published an imaginary speech in defense of American courage. The strongest of a series of earthquakes struck New Madrid, Missouri, or they might pronounce it New Madrid in that area, Missouri, on February 7th, 1812. This one was so dramatic that it caused what is called a fluvial tsunami. Now, the worst quake is thought to have been about an 8.6 magnitude quake. That is pretty severe. Fortunately, the area was not heavily populated in that time, didn't have a lot of multi-story buildings, so that helped keep the death toll relatively low. But back to that fluvial tsunami, though. Fluvial refers to rivers, so this was actually a river tsunami, and this one actually caused the Mississippi River to flow backwards for a few hours. That would be quite a tsunami. This is the birthday of English novelist Charles Dickens, born on February 7th, 1812. He wrote several notable works, but the one that always pops to my mind right away is A Christmas Carol. He died of a stroke at age 58, by the way. This is also the birthday of American author Laura Ingalls Wilder, born February 7, 1867. She's known for her Little House on the Prairie series of children's books, and she lived to the age of 90. On February 7th, 1871, German-American businessman Henry Steinway, founder of the Steinway and Sons Company, the piano company, died at age 73. We'll probably mention him in about a week or so when his birthday rolls around. In 1881, plea bargaining gained favor in American courts. Plea bargaining is where the defendant changes their not guilty plea to a plea of guilty of lesser charges or pleads guilty to reduced charges. My source says that nowadays over 90% of cases in some jurisdictions are resolved by some kind of plea bargain. The second full-length animated Walt Disney film, Pinocchio, premiered on February 7, 1940. On February 7, 1962, President John Kennedy issued an executive order for a trade embargo, restricting all trade between Cuba and the United States. Beatlemania arrived in the United States on February 7, 1964, when John, Paul, George, and Ringo landed in New York. In a real-life episode worthy of the TV show Forensic Files, forensic evidence helped solve a crime of a brutal murder on February 7, 1968. The victim had been preparing a meal, which was still in the works in the kitchen, when her husband came home and found her. There was no evidence of a forced entry, which led investigators to believe this must have been someone that she knew, friends or family. So that's what they focused on, and it didn't take them long to hone in on the suspect. They found blood evidence in the suspect's vehicle, along with some fibers. The blood evidence matched the blood type of the victim, but this was way before DNA days, so blood types were a bit more general than DNA matches, so they needed a little bit more proof. Well, it happens that the victim had been wearing a red wool dress. The investigators were able to examine the clothing of the suspect, and even though he'd laundered his garments, they were able to find red fibers that matched her dress. Fibers in the car also matched. The murderer was caught, tried, and convicted by the end of May. The infamous Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele, who performed medical experiments on the Jewish prisoners at the Auschwitz death camps, died of a stroke while swimming in Brazil on February 7, 1979, although his death was not verified until 1985. On February 7, 1984, Navy Captain Bruce McCandless II became the first human being to perform an untethered spacewalk outside the U.S. Space Shuttle Challenger. Untethered, yikes. No worries, though, because he maneuvered around using a rocket pack that he had designed himself. And I think that's going to do it for us today. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others. And check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. A link to that is also in the show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. I would like to take a moment to encourage you to like that share button. Okay. All right. Watch your mouth. What is wrong with my mouth today? So many mistakes. Oh, come on now. Where were we? All right, do that again. There's a good girl. Good girl. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not going to go. Probably cut all that out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.